Out of every 4 crypto games, 3 have failed. Nice little stat from 2018 to 2023. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of these projects, they require building and maintaining communities, which is a big problem when it comes to crypto.
I think if you want to look at the gaming sector from an investment perspective, layer ones, they're probably your low risk ones if you want to get exposure. The gaming specific blockchains, that's probably your medium risk. And then your high risk is those individual games that, may perform very well on the back of a successful launch or anything like that. But long term, you just got to be a little bit careful.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Tapping into Crypto. Before we get started, Pav, thoughts on the Olympics?
It's over, isn't it?
Yeah, but overall thoughts?
Oh, it's good. Aussies, what, did we pencil in third?
I think we just got pipped at the line by Japan.
Oh, pipped.
But look, a couple of weeks.
No, it was good.
Aussies.
That was good.
You watch much?
Yeah, I tried my best. I like the rock climbing. I'm all about that.
Oh, the rock climbing, really? Yeah. I was a fan of the skateboarding, the BMX, some of the newer sports.
See, I watched only one session of the skateboarding and they kept stacking and I was like, I'm pretty sure if you went to all these car parks, you'd see people that land tricks more frequently.
Well, we've all seen our girl Ray Gun and the heat she's been copping, so...
I'm not going to touch that. It's a bit too hot of a topic, I think.
Maybe a little bit too hot.
Yeah.
But look, Australia's the
what are you doing?
world leader,
crypto.
the world leader in breakdancing.
Stop it. There's not enough time.
Yes, that's true, because we got a big episode today. A bit of a different approach today. Instead of our regular sort of crypto catch-up market update that we typically do, where we talk about the market, we thought we'd dive into like a real sort of juicy deep dive on the gaming sector within crypto.
Break it down for people.
Yep, break it down. Yep, nice. Like how you segued there from our breakdance chat.
Yeah.
But look, we've had a lot of our listeners say like they want to hear more about games because there's, a bunch of games out that are launching, a bunch of games that are previously launched in the past cycle and whether they're going to, perform in this new cycle. Gaming specific blockchains or, just your regular sort of layer one blockchains that offer, gaming decentralized applications on there. So kind of wanted to break it down and look at how, we can potentially get some investment exposure to the gaming sector and different ways of doing that.
Let's get stuck in. I wanted to start with obviously what we've seen so far. I think we should start with the bad. Call out the rotten eggs to begin with from the gaming sector. What we've seen has been the bad so far. So fun little quip stat. Out of every 4 crypto games, 3 have failed. Nice little stat from 2018 to 2023. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of these projects, they require, number one, building and maintaining communities, which is a big problem when it comes to crypto. A lot of people come in during the bull run, get scared out during a bear market. And it also takes a lot of time and money to develop these games. So, I mean, obviously, I think we've seen a lot of, in the past, a lot of these projects trying to make a quick buck, turn $1 or $2. But it does set up an interesting narrative this year, specifically, or this coming cycle of, if there's enough staying power in the crypto markets all round, now that we've got the ETFs, is this going to be a general trend that always remains more to the upside than the downside? Could we see these games have a bit more staying power? But a lot of these gaming coins are down more than 90% since their launch in 2021. And, there is a lot of lack of there not being the infrastructure to provide quality games. I mean, we can look at even just the leader last cycle was Axie Infinity. Not the prettiest thing to look at, but I mean, it did what it set out to do and it achieved it in absolute stripes. But at the moment, we are seeing Pixels currently with the most amount of active users, 2.4 million users in the last 30 days. And I think what for me is most exciting, it is a little bit of the bad now, but it's also an opportunity. We could look at something like Fortnite, which currently has a user base of 220 million users in the last 30 days. So I know that's kind of like the upper pinnacle of where gaming could take us, especially this sort of free-to-play or freemium or, with crypto, the difference is, we'll talk about it a bit later, the actual ability for it to be earned to play, where you actually rewarded for interacting with the ecosystem. That's what I think sets it apart from and is like a nice little spin on why the crypto narrative could take off for gaming, for me at least.
You made some good points there, particularly in comparison to Fortnite, because Fortnite's huge. I don't know if it's still the biggest game, but it's it's been up there last
pretty mainstream
5-10 years, and then you look at some of the crypto games, Axie Infinity, where it was very popular in the last bull market in places like the Philippines and other places in Africa, because it was basically a way for people to earn an income. People could earn higher than the
just their local jobs.
Exactly. So that was kind of the point of crypto gaming in the last cycle. I think in this cycle we're starting to see the development of like real proper games that like, you know, could be up there to compete with the likes of Fortnite and some of those big titles, and people want to play rather than just like I'm playing this to get to earn a quick buck or maybe hunt on the token that they have launched. So yeah, I think it's heading in the right direction from a development point of view, but it still is a bit of a way to go before any crypto game is competing up against, you know, some of those huge titles. But look, you mentioned a few of the bad points, because I think it is important to call out that we take off our rose-colored glasses and look at both sides of the coin. But there's a lot of good to look at. I think overall the good stuff is revolving around gaming in general. Like to start off with, got some stats here from Statista, like for video games worldwide. In 2024, the video game market is projected to reach a revenue of $282 billion US. So that's obviously a huge market, and they're also anticipating that to grow at an annual rate of 8.76% between 2024 and 2027. Yeah, that is huge for such a already, you know, established and huge market. The fact that they're anticipating, you know, almost a 10% increase annually, like you don't get that on some of the huge stocks, you know, that are worth probably around that mark. So it's good to see that there's anticipated growth there. But you see it, like more and more kids are starting gaming. You know, Roblox is huge for
with adults. Look at all the adults playing Candy Crush.
Well, exactly. Like whether it's games on your phone, whether it's games on console, PC, like there's no sign of it slowing down. Yeah.
No, it's good.
But yeah, let's take a look at sort of, you know, the crypto gaming sector. In 2023, obviously, you know, we're halfway through 2024, so this is going back 6 months. But as a whole, this is based on CoinGecko's web traffic. GameFi, or crypto gaming, was the second biggest crypto narrative, but only behind artificial intelligence in 2023. So obviously shows like even the gaming coins didn't do all that well. Like we saw Beam do okay. We saw Immutable over the course of the year do pretty well.
Correct.
But overall, like the artificial intelligence
meme coins
sector, meme coins, they all outperformed gaming, but it just goes to show that there is interest there.
Traffic's there.
Yeah. So I think by the time, you know, this gaming sector has a real narrative around it, you know, there's a lot of popularity around these games, some big launches, some big titles, you know, from just like the traditional gaming market coming into crypto. I think that's going to bode really well for it. And then, we're seeing like top video game companies starting to, you know, launch their own crypto gaming initiatives. So I've got a list here of these top video game companies who have their sites on Web3. Pretty much all of them, except for a handful, have Web3 initiatives, and also a few of them have already launched a blockchain game. So the titles we're looking at here are Microsoft, Tencent, Sony, Activision Blizzard, NetEase, Nintendo. These are huge, obviously, brands in the gaming. Everyone knows them, household names, right? So we're seeing Microsoft, Tencent, Sony. They've all had Web3 initiatives. The ones who have launched their own games are the likes of Take-Two, Bandai, Unity Software, so things like that. And Activision Blizzard, who I think are behind Call of Duty, they haven't launched or don't have a Web3 presence at all yet. But I think it's only a matter of time. Like they kind of see there's a market there, and they see there's this is forming something pretty big. So it's all positive to see from that perspective. And then what else? We see Xbox, probably the biggest name in gaming, if not, you know, like Sony or PlayStation. They're probably the two biggest names. But they had a bit of a leak last year where it showed a roadmap for kind of what they're looking to do. And here on their leak, they had crypto wallet. So they're also looking to get a slice of the crypto pie. So overall, I think it's really good to see. Obviously, like you mentioned, there was a few downsides because, you know, we saw a lot of crypto games launch just out of nowhere without really any development behind them. And I think they were just trying to capitalize on that narrative last cycle, and they've all failed now. So I think people who maybe got in those projects early and now have a bit of a sour taste in their mouth. But if you look at sort of where the sector and where the narrative's going as a whole, I think
definitely a trend there, right?
Oh, absolutely a trend. Yeah. Anything to add there, Mr. Pav?
No, I'm happy. I like it.
Yep.
I'm getting the goosebumps.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have I inspired you that much?
I forgot about that Microsoft leak a while back.
Yeah. It's I'm sure that guy had a bad day, whoever did that.
It's always an intern. It's fine.
That's it. Always blame the interns. But look, we wanted to discuss ways to get exposure or investment exposure to the crypto gaming ecosystem.
Because it seems a bit daunting. Like, how do I pick which game? I know that's a very common question I've been asked as well. But I think, Ted, you can break it down. Like, there's some very fundamental ways to approach it.
Well, the way we've kind of broken it down for you guys here today is we're looking at general purpose layer 1s and layer 2s. So the likes of Ethereum, Solana, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Sui, all those ones that you've likely heard of, because they basically offer a platform for these games to launch on.
The commerce backbone.
Yeah, exactly. So Axie Infinity was on Ethereum to begin with, and I think it moved to Ronin. And what else? There was...
there's a lot of them that are kind of based on Ethereum initially, but ever since the narrative of scaling's come out, and we've seen layer 2s sort of progress and take off. We've seen even certain games or certain chains being developed specifically to be optimized for gaming. So the takeaway one there for me is Immutable, and that IMX infrastructure layer as well that they're running there.
Yeah, I think we'll dive into the gaming specific chains in a sec. But I think let's break down like the biggest layer 1s and who's like best positioned to capitalize on the gaming sector, because Ethereum, they offer. Ethereum and Solana in particular, they offer a lot more than just gaming, but I think gaming will have a big role to play, particularly in Solana. And then we're also seeing Avalanche trying to capitalize on that as well and kind of position themselves as a bit of a gaming-specific chain.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Solana first.
Yep.
So, specifically, we might have all heard in recent time the, big differentiator for them from a way of approaching the blockchain problem and onboarding users is they've got their own phone. Not them specifically, but there is a project dedicated to onboarding the next lot of new users of adoption through a blockchain-based phone, or at least having a mobile phone-centric approach to how people interact with the space. So for a lot of time, we've all interacted with web wallets and browsers. I think a big shift for me personally, where I see the industry going, it's going to be mobile first. So I think there's a big piece of the puzzle. And I know there is a Solana conference called Breakout. It's coming in September, so it'd be interesting to hear any subtle hints or tips of what's coming from some of the bigger developers, some of the bigger studios, even from an infrastructure perspective. Is there like a trend or narrative shift away from, what we have seen so far from Solana? It's been a lot of meme coins. There is some DeFi infrastructure that's been leading the way, like Jupiter, even Jito, and more specifically recent time has been increasing TBL. So I would be looking at that Breakout conference in September to maybe give us a few sort of juicy details on what's to come for the next couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another one I want to call out is Sui. So we've talked about Sui a little bit on the podcast. It's had a huge week. I think it's up 100% after having a pretty horror month, you could say. But Sui is another one of those like general purpose layer 1s that is kind of targeting gaming as well. They see that as like a pretty good niche to sort of narrow in on. They've launched their own handheld gaming device, so similar shape and look and feel to maybe like a PSP, or what do they have now? Switch, I think, is the popular one. So obviously that's a pretty huge development for them. It's called the Sui. What is it called? Sui Play OX1, and it looks pretty cool. Like it looks pretty legit. Like I think. For a lot of these, like you said, Solana launched their own phone. Like launching physical devices is like another step. Real, right? Yeah, it makes it feel a bit more tangible. So the fact that they've done this, I think they partnered up with Playtron to launch this. So yeah, I think keep a keen eye out for any specific games launching on the Sui chain, because I think they're going hard in that space. So Sui is one that I personally hold, so just disclosing that there. I think it's a new chain. It was launched by like the ex-Facebook guys, so I think it's got a strong team behind it. And overall, I think this narrative of being a new layer 1 with some strong tech, and then also combining that with the gaming sector, it's looking good. But of course, do your own research on that one.
No, I agree.
I just wanted to bring up this, and probably should have brought this up before. So you can kind of see this is a breakdown of all the games on each blockchain. So as you can see, Ethereum is still the biggest by quite some margin. Polygon's pretty big. All the Binance Smart Chain's huge. Obviously, that
last
was
cycle.
Yeah, that was a big one last cycle.
Last cycle, yeah.
I'd say to what you were talking about before, how 3 of the 4 games have failed that have launched. A lot of them would have been on Binance, where there was just the hottest chain to launch things on.
Yeah.
That sort of become Solana this cycle, which
So far, yeah.
has got some pretty strong adoption. So 218 games already on it. And then you compare that to Polygon, which has like about 500, and Ethereum, which is leading the way at 683. So, but yeah, moving on. So gaming-specific blockchains. So you mentioned before Immutable X or Immutable. They're a Sydney-based company. I think they're sort of like the front runner when it comes to these gaming-specific blockchains from a certain perspective. Have you done much with the Immutable ecosystem?
There's more to it. Yeah, I've enrolled for a few betas that I haven't checked back to see if I've gotten the tick. But a big part of the infrastructure is essentially making the experience of managing NFTs and smart contracts in between contract ownership. Because a lot of that GameFi, like we call it GameFi because it is essentially gaming to try and earn a yield or earn some sort of reward, which then you go on to either sell or arbitrage in some way on an open market. They look to solve that problem, making it as secure and as fast as possible. So I think, again, some of the most relatively biggest games of Illuvium. I know there's Gods Unchained, which is currently live. It's like a trading card game. It's like a strategy game. I haven't played that one. Still need to play the Illuvium beta. Just been a bit too busy to jump in and give that a go. But the big takeaway there is, we have seen their daily active wallet addresses increase by about 200% in May. And again, that's just brought on by newer games coming on that are getting traction. I think in that case was Guild of Guardians, which I don't know too much about.
That was a mobile-based game. So I think it was like reached like top 10 in Google and Google Play stores and Apple stores. So yeah, I think to what you said before, like those gaming mobile games are sort of leading the way because it's just so accessible.
And again, the Immutable stack, it is mobile friendly too. So again, it's moving towards this next gen way of thinking. So for me, I think it's one that we've been paying attention to. It's got some massive investors. It's in the top 50, inside the top 50 assets. So if you're looking for just a specific infrastructure, Immutable is one to probably do your own DD on and see what you think.
Yeah, so just on Immutable, I think they had a pretty strong launch, and then they got a bit of flack for just usability of their platform. But recently they teamed up with Polygon to launch the Immutable ZK EVM. So for anyone confused, they have Immutable X, which was their initial sort of platform they launched, and then they've now launched Immutable ZK EVM, which is partnered with Polygon, and that's sort of like bypass a lot of these issues because they now have this passport or wallet which allows basically access to all the games and all the platform, and then they also have like the way they earn revenue is through NFT trading, their order book, and minting new NFTs essentially.
All that transaction stuff. And
then obviously they've made it easy for developers by having their own stack there, so developers can come on, create their own games or launch whatever they need to. So they've got quite a good, which I'm showing on the screen here for anyone who's looking at the YouTube, got quite a good breakdown of how sort of the infrastructure is set out. So yeah, Immutable's doing good things. Obviously based down in Sydney.
I think globally funded. Like they've got
they're huge globally.
Seats.
But they're doing big things, and I think they're looking to launch like another 200 games this year. So they're going really hard in that space. Keep an eye out for Immutable. The next one I want to touch on is Ronin. So for anyone that doesn't know, Ronin is closely tied in with Sky Mavis, who is the creator of Axie Infinity. And Ronin, I mean, the first time I heard about Ronin was when it got hacked in like 2022. So until like sort of recently, it always had that
little bit of
negative connotation to it. But yeah, so basically resulted in over $600 million in theft of like ETH and USDC on the network. But from what I can tell, they've resolved those security issues. I think that would kind of force you to do so. And now they've optimized the chain for quick and cheap transactions and just overall usability. Like it's a great chain to use. And then now it remains the top gaming ecosystem with almost 1 million daily active wallets. So that's really strong. One thing that I found interesting was out of all these 3 gaming chains that we'll talk about, Beam's the next one, Ronin has the smallest market cap, yet it has the most daily active wallets. So a lot of that comes down to pixels, which is a game you spoke about before. Pixels is a game on Ronin, and it's like pretty much the biggest game right now.
Had a massive launch.
So that obviously contributes a lot to that, but it just goes to show Ronin is doing a lot of big things, and obviously it's got that experience with the likes of Axie Infinity, which was the previous cycle's biggest game. So I think they're hitting their strides nicely. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. And then, Pav, do you want to hit us with a bit of a breakdown on Beam?
Yeah, I think Beam is a good one to call out. It is a bit revolutionary in terms of what we have seen from the blockchain landscape in the past. So so Beam itself is a byproduct of the Merit Circle. So it's a coin from the previous cycle, massive amount of money in their treasury, which they're looking to deploy and build out this what's best described, I think, as like a gaming studio almost. So the thing I best like to refer to it as like imagine Steam. So if anyone's used Steam or even like Xbox, their marketplace, it's more like it's more that front layer of how you interact, pick games to download, can read up what the game is, what sort of category it is, etc. It's more like that aggregator, almost like that dashboard and user interface. So it's a bit unique in terms of the problem or the solution that it's providing. It's not so much the gaming or the infrastructure, but it's more the user experience as well as the infrastructure as well. But it's going that one step further, making the experience a bit more seamless. And I'd just recommend everyone go check it out. Beam Hub is one of their products that's you can view it. It's very familiar. It's like looking at even the Apple App Store and you're just scrolling through different games that you might want to check out. And then from there, it just, it can sort of filter by whatever you're looking for. But very, very unique, very much for the players, very much creating a whole ecosystem. And I'm excited to see what happens from that one. I know, like, technically speaking and looking at the fundamentals, it has been trending a lot late 2023 and early this year. So of all the gaming tokens, I think it had moved in the most positive way and trended. So I mean, is that someone speculating that's going to be quite big moving forward? Who knows?
Yeah.
I've definitely, for full disclosure, taken a position because I do like just the way that they're approaching the problem of gaming from a first principles perspective. So, consumer first. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me for Beam is their treasury, which is sitting at around $235 million. So that's huge, right? It gives them basically like an endless pocket to basically stash in on and spend wherever they need to, because obviously games and the development of these games requires a lot of resources, capital, money, you name it. So the fact that they've got that huge treasury and it's public is very positive for me. I think when we first spoke about Beam was earlier this year, maybe last year, when it was announced on Twitter that they teamed up with Immutable, so and then Polygon. So basically, two gaming giants in Immutable and Beam. Beam obviously has this really strong treasury and strong team. Immutable has the infrastructure and sort of the games, that you can currently play on them, and then combine that with Polygon's sort of infrastructure with their ZK VM and allowing that to happen. So that was a pretty major partnership all up, and I think it reflected positively on all of them. So it's good to see that they're not like, I guess you could say they're competitors in a way, but the fact that they're teaming up to grow the space is really positive. I guess we'll see what happens. So out of those three, I'm personally got an investment in Beam, but I also really like the look of Ronin just because it's got it's got those users.
It's done it before.
Yeah, exactly, and it's got the experience in it. And then it's also got the smallest market cap out of the three if you're looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So I think the key takeaway from these gaming-specific blockchains is to look at them like the price performance will likely depend on the popularity of the games on them.
So you can easily fundamentally look at something like DApp Radar or Token Terminal, and you can view how many weekly, daily, monthly active users are they getting, how many transactions are they getting. Like, there are these fundamental indicators that you can look at to see, are there people actually here or is it a ghost town?
Yeah.
So it's not just like you have to pick in the dark.
That's it. And I think something that will hinder it, not necessarily like work in their favor, it's more from a perspective of like, we expected these platforms to remain up, so no breaches, no downtime, no issues with usability. So the fact, if they can keep those things in check and not have any issues there, like, that'll just reflect positively on the price.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then lastly, we wanted to touch on a few individual games because that is the bread and butter, right? But from an investment perspective, I know personally I'm not looking to invest in any individual games anytime soon.
Yeah.
Just
It's a bit too hard to tell right now.
Purely
for me personally.
And purely because it's a bit of a sugar hit in my opinion. Like a lot of these, a lot of these games, like they, if they have tokens, they will do really well on the back of successful launches, or maybe some a spike in users, like we saw with Pixels and their token.
Yeah.
But overall, like long term, I don't think it's tough to see like growth of a game long term. Like even just in the regular sort of gaming ecosystem, like people get sick of games. Like that's why they keep bringing out a new FIFA, a new Call of Duty, right?
No, you're right there.
So yeah, what do you got for us, Pav?
Well, I actually have been dabbling with some of the tap to earn games. So the one that I'm specifically playing is Hamster Combat. So that's built on the Ton network. So the open network, which is from the brains at Telegram. So I think that's also an ecosystem just to shout out as well on the show. You've got 950 million daily active users on Telegram. If they make that user experience simple, like again, it's that same sort of narrative how we talked about the Solana phone and everyone moving mobile first. You make it easy for people; they'll more likely come in. But it's essentially just like a tap to earn. You just click on it. Yeah, it makes your points, and the idea is that for a certain amount of actions, you're going to get rewarded a local token in that ecosystem. You're going to be ranked against people around you, and that sort of ranking is going to sort of dictate how much you get paid out. But so far still, I think in an early phase, and there's no real announcements yet on when that token's coming. And I know another one in that same ecosystem is Notcoin. So again, just a tap to earn, but I haven't had too much to do with that one.
Hamster Combat's got a coin, right?
They might have it now. I actually have fallen off the radar a little bit on it, but they did announce that there was an airdrop coming. But in terms of the token coming, launching, I don't think it's live just yet. But it's basically baked in that for doing certain things, you will be rewarded for engaging in the ecosystem, which is pretty normal. Other things I've seen in the past, I think from last cycle, I'm actually quite impressed to still see them as concurrent themes. They've still got volume. Step-in, so more of these move to earn games. So everyone's probably pretty familiar with your Fitbits and whatever else in between, just the Apple Fitness and things like that. So just for being active, there are some ecosystems that will reward you points. So Sweatcoin is another one. I think that'll be a constant theme as well. Again, it's in that whole theme of mobile devices and mobile games. So I don't think that's just currently what I'm just seeing as a backbone. But they're two projects just to call out from last cycle that still seem to be getting some volume and some traction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and another one we want to call out here is trading card games. So yeah, you're seeing Axie Infinity, Parallel, which I've heard a little bit about this year, but haven't played too much of.
From the guys at Prime, I think, that ecosystem. So another one similar to Beam. But just a little bit smaller.
Yep, and then also role-playing games. So Voxies and League of Kingdoms we've got listed here.
Yeah.
And then, what we think we left out here is Illuvium as well. So they have like 3 separate games. One's kind of like a Farmville type League of Legends. And then there's like a PvP. Like a fighting Pokemon type game. And then they've got this whole, like, I think it's called Overworld, where you can explore the world and catch these little alluvials, I think they're called. So it looks really good, and so far I've seen the Illuvium gamers have been getting a lot of active users. Few issues in the interim, unfortunately, but it looks like they've resolved them. So overall good to see. But like I said before, I think if you want to look at the gaming sector from an investment perspective, like how we discussed it, layer ones, your general purpose, Solana, Sui, Avalanche, they're probably your low risk ones if you want to get exposure. The gaming specific blockchains like Ronin, Beam, and Immutable, that's probably your medium risk, and then your high risk is those individual games that may perform very well on the back of a successful launch or anything like that. But long term, you just got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, couldn't explain it better, mate. That's good.
Love it. Well, I think we might leave it there.
Yeah,
cool.
That's good.
Any closing thoughts?
I was thinking about one just then, which is kind of why I paused. Yeah, I think I have said it on previous podcasts too, but like we've talked about like we think this is going to happen because it's happened in the past, right? Like everything likes to sort of repeat because it's just easy to understand why something's repeating. So I think everyone that's sort of discounting that gaming's not going to be a thing. Like it was a thing in the past, so why wouldn't it be a thing in the future when the tech's got so much better? Yeah, and we're moving to more of a mobile type of approach by a lot of these guys. But I think at the end of the day, it'll take Bitcoin making new all-time highs, Ethereum at previous all-time highs. A lot of these investors that bought into these cycle games like last time round probably bought in close to the top. So most people need to be back at break even to become interested enough to log in and check something every day. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm down, I don't usually check the account balance every day. So for a lot of people, it's been 12 plus months since they've been in the green or in the black. I think as the market sort of matures and we start to see the prices start to, hopefully rise and swell, I think that's when we start to see the gaming trend become more and more potentially relevant, personally speaking.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.